Hi, my name is Mike. Welcome. And if you're here, I'm guessing that you have copies of some tournament running spreadsheets and forms that I originally made, and you want to know how to most quickly and easily flip them so you can use them for your event because they possibly came to you with the results of a previous event on them. As with the first video in this series, um, in an effort to avoid having the same messenger conversation multiple times with multiple people, I figured I would just do another quick kind of show and tell thing here to show you what you need to do to reset them, blank them out, and reconnect everything from a fresh set of copies, um, so that you can use them for yourself. So, since this is supposed to be quick, I'm just going to jump right in and start showing you guys. So, presumably, if you're watching this video, it's because you have a spreadsheet that looks very much like this, um, along with a couple of other forms. This will be the full scores spreadsheet, which is like the TO spreadsheet. This is, of course, labeled copy of 2023 Mountaineer. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you get copies of all these things is rename them to your event, just so it's clear what they're being used for. You may also want to make like another copy of this and use a fresh copy that only you have access to. If like this was shared to you by some other TO or me, and it's got like however many people can see it. So like making fresh copies, renaming them is totally fine, and probably a good way to do it. All the scripts get copied every time, so you don't have to worry about it. So as I said in the other video, anything with a green column is something the TO is supposed to fill out. That also means that when you're resetting, it's something that you should delete. So when you get something like this and you want to run your event with it, the first thing you do is we go through, we select all the players and their clubs, and we get rid of them from the roster tab. And that, you can see, it immediately zeroes out a bunch of things because we no longer have players, so we don't know what we're supposed to query for. Over here, my little handy list tracker column, you can also remove so that you can fill in later as your players send lists. That's the first big thing. You can see as you do that, when you scroll to the end and look at total awards, that is, of course, emptied out as well. When you go to the public copy of the spreadsheet, it will, of course, now be blank because you've gotten rid of the awards, the total results that it looks at. The next thing you need to do is get rid of the pairings, because, again, those are green tabs. So in every pairings tab, you will need to get rid of the players and their tables, right? Which will, again, blank out the calculated fields. Go to round two pairings. We do the same thing. We go to round three pairings. We do the same thing. We go to round four pairings. We do the same thing. Again, just deleting greens. Everything else will blank itself out as we go, if they're not already blanked out because you've gotten rid of the roster. And again here, getting rid of the whole thing. Okay, so that will empty out basically everything. There's one more tab that we should do, and that's appearance scores, because these should be green. These are supposed to all be green. Don't know why they're not. Let's fix that right now. Because this is just data entry. This is literally just your paint judge adds those scores directly in here, and when they're gone, they're gone. And everything else should be empty at this point. We still have players' choice votes because that comes from player submitted form data. We probably still have favorite opponent votes. Yep. Sports scores are probably still there. Sports scores are probably still there because those are also queried out of the form results. So that's the last thing we need to get rid of. All the way back over here to our form results and our end of tournament votes. These are the two tabs that are populated by our forms, our Google Forms that the players fill out. And as you can see, their data is still there. So anything that just queries them is still populated. So we're going to get rid of those. While I've got the end of tournament votes here, I'll just point out that the easy way to see if everyone has submitted one, you know how many players you have, just count down to see if you have the correct number of rows for the number of players you have. When it gets to the end of the tournament and you want to know if anyone has forgotten it, that'll tell you how many people you're missing before I delete it all here. So these tabs are going to go away. And as part of making them go away, we are going to provision the new forms as well. And those are going to be this is our end of tournament form. And tournament voting. Oh, whoops, I closed the wrong one. End of tournament voting. This is end of tournament voting. Let me open the right one. Sorry about that. I accidentally opened two. So let me open the correct one. Forms.google.com. I want the last copy of Mountaineer GT results that I made. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I was making fresh copies and closing things and closed the wrong one. Here we go. So now, to flip this for your own event, you might want to update to the correct number of tables, which is pretty easy. You just click and add or delete until you have enough tables. Change of the player list, you don't need to do by hand. That's going to be synced automatically from the spreadsheet. There's a button to do that, so you don't have to do that. So really the only thing you have to do here is change the name to your GT, change the name up here, which probably will automatically change when you change this one. If you're playing a different number of rounds, change that. If you have a different number of tables, change that. If you want to change anything about the sports scoring question, how that's worded, or victory points or any of that, you can do that as well. And then the fancy part is you have to get it to go to Sheets. You have to get it to dump the responses to Sheets. Okay. So you go over here, and it will tell you that the responses are currently being sent to this spreadsheet. You can either create a new spreadsheet, right? I think when you first do it, if you get a copy, it should already be set this way. If not, if you come in here and there's a little slidey of like, make it go to Sheets, just flip that. Otherwise, you go in here, select destination, right? The first thing I would do is unlink it from whatever it is currently connected to, right? After we've unlinked, now select the destination, select existing spreadsheet. That'll show you your spreadsheets. And I am going to go for, this is where renaming them will be useful. So I'm going to cancel this and come over to 2023. I'm going to rename this to FAQ video full scores, so that I can actually find it easily, because I have a lot of things named copy of something else at the moment. So select destination for responses, select an existing spreadsheet, and then I should be able to find, there it is, FAQ video full scores, select. Okay, so now it links to that spreadsheet. So now let's go back over here, and here we go. Right here at the front, it has made a brand new tab called Form Responses 7. You will note that the old Form Responses no longer has that icon because we unlinked it. I recommend doing this and making a new one. So at this point, we will delete this tab because we no longer need it, and we will be using this one. I recommend that for two reasons. One, if you make any changes to the questions or the order of anything on your form, you will want a whole new tab that has the correct stuff auto-populated. And two, the old form is even if you delete all of this data, when your results start coming in, it's going to start appending them all the way down here at row, 200 and something, and you'll have to scroll all the way down to see your results. And you don't really want to do that. You want to start at the top. So we can delete this. It's gone, no big deal. Now we go over here and we update the name of this to just Form Responses, because that name is what all of the other tabs, the result tabs and everything, is going to look for. Okay, it's going to look by name. So when you make a new tab for your new copy of your form, you just want to make sure you keep the names the same. Form Responses for the results, and end of tournament votes for the votes. Okay, and so now we do the same thing again with our end of tournament voting. We go to responses. It's already unlinked, so that's good. We select the destination. We select our existing spreadsheet. Here's our FAQ. We select that. The spreadsheet says it's linked. We pop back over to our full scores, and now we see we have a Form Responses 8. That's good, and it's got the correct stuff in it. Was it a good? No, hold on. Player was a good game. I'm doing this with the wrong one. Oh, it's because I'm looking at form response, not for response 8. Haha, I confused myself. Never mind. Okay, everything's fine. I did that correctly. Right, so now we will just need to get rid of this old one, again, for the same reasons of if you change the wording or anything, you'll or the order of questions or whatever you'll want to come through. I would highly recommend not changing the number of questions or the order of questions because lots of stuff in this spreadsheet query those. And if you change them here, you'll have to change everything downstream to match. And if you're trying to make as few changes as possible, you should just leave those things the way they are. So now we are going to want to rename this to something else or just delete it altogether. I'm going to just copy the name because that's what I want. And then I'm going to delete the old one. Okay, it is linked to something. It's probably linked to some other copy of the form, which is fine. So now I can delete it. Just want to get rid of it. Cool. And then we come over here to our brand new one. We rename it to end of tournament votes. And that's it. So now we have fresh tabs for both the game results from it called form responses and one for the end of tournament votes called end of tournament votes. Our roster is empty. Our form results are empty. We've emptied out our pairings. Our round results are empty. And if we go to the end and we look at sports scores, we see that that's now empty. Favorite opponent votes is now empty. And player's choice is also now empty because all of those were coming from those form linked tabs that we just recreated, just made new ones of. And total results, of course, is a whole bunch of empty stuff. And the awards are all emptied out as well. So that's it. We have emptied out this spreadsheet. So the other thing you'll want to do is you have your, so this is the public version. Get rid of the mountaineer part there. This is the one that you would show to players. So this is the public one where it just does a bunch of importing ranges. So what you'll want to do now for those is come over here and get the URL for your new full scores spreadsheet and just update these in all these tabs. This import range statement up here, it's got a URL that points to a spreadsheet. And you just update that with your new TO spreadsheet, your full score spreadsheet. You hit enter. It'll say loading. It'll ask if it's okay to connect these things. You say yes. And then it'll start doing it. And you'll need to do that for every tab. You'll just need to put the correct URL in. Right, there's the awards. I usually don't start with awards, so let's delete that actually, because you don't want people to see who's winning everything. You can easily put that one back later. But then you do the same thing for all the rest of these, right? You replace it here. Look at the pairings. There are currently no pairings. Here. Right. Get through the results. And this basically just makes it so that it pulls all of the live results. And you just go through these tabs and do that for all of them just to make sure they are all currently looking at the correct spreadsheet. Okay. I would also recommend back here on total results that you change this from like A to I to just A to C as the range up here up top, as that will get rid of a whole bunch of stuff and just show total battle score. Maybe if you want to show total battle score and attrition, you just do A to D, I think. Yeah, battle score and total attrition. Because you don't want people to see who like the overall winner is or who's got the most players' choice votes or paint scores or anything like that till after, because then people will know who are winning the awards and it makes announcing the awards kind of anticlimactic. So, hide that. And then at the end of the tournament, you can put that back so it shows all the rows and you can put the awards tab back here as well. And so that's pretty much all the setup you need to do for the public side. Then you go to share, you go publish to web, you hit publish. It'll ask you if you say yes, and it'll give you this new URL, this pub HTML URL. Right, so publish to the web, you get that URL, you open that in a new browser tab. And so this is the URL that you will make a QR code for. And this is the view that you send to your players. not the actual spreadsheet, because the actual spreadsheet has all of this, stuff up here at the top, and they can see the formula, the import statement, so they can find the URL for your other spreadsheet and all that crap. You don't need them to see that. They're going to be looking at this on phones. You want it stripped down to just the values they need to see. So that's why you use this public HTML view. So this is the URL that you send people, or you shorten and send people, or you make a QR code out of, and this is the only URL you send your players to look up the results. Okay, so now that's all set. So now we can pop back over to our full scores. It's our main TO spreadsheet. And now we can start provisioning this for however we want to do it. It's zeroed out and it's ready for you to get started. Now it comes down to like, how do you want to do the scoring? How do you want to do the awards, different stuff? And that's a matter of, you go through the different results tabs and you change like the math in these, in these columns. You change the formulas in these columns to do it the way you want. At some point in the future, I will probably have like a copy of this spreadsheet that has blackjack scoring already done, and a copy of this spreadsheet that already has Northern Cake scoring done, and a copy of this spreadsheet that has Bar Trout scoring done. And when I send it to people, if they ask for a copy, I'll just say, hey, do you want, like, which scoring system are you using? I'll send you a fresh copy of all those. Use that, and you want to change anything. I don't have that yet, but at some point in the future, I'm sure people will make them that way, or I'll make them that way, and I'll have one. Let's not have it right now. So you'll just have to change them. And then as people start new pairings, yeah, you can get rid of everything in the new pairings tab. It kind of doesn't matter, because the first time you run it, it's going to delete it all anyway. So there we go. Clear that out. Back to the roster. So then as people come in, I'm going to jump over here. You're seeing everything. Let's grab just a big old list of player names from someplace. This is everybody that's currently coming to Crossroads. And let's make that our roster. Let's just fill all those names in so that we stop getting so many. Because now I can show you guys one of the other tasks that you will have to do, and that is, it's possible that the copy of the spreadsheet that you get did not anticipate the number of players you have, right? Champagne problems. We built this spreadsheet assuming like 40 players. Now we got like 90. And if that happens, that means the formula just need to go all the way down, right? So you'll have to do this for all these columns. If you have too many dudes who are playing, just drag it all the way down until it does everyone. And every calculated column will need to do that. If there's a shortcut way to do that in like with like spreadsheets, and that's what you want to do. Go up to where you see you got your query. Go to the next row. There isn't one, so you go here and you drag it down. And drag it on down. Boom. All right, we do all those. And you do this once, and if you want, just drag them way the hell down instead of just precise, just in case you get like 2 more signups at the end or whatever. And once you got that done, and that's going to be like one of the most common things that you might have to fix if you forget to do this. And on the day, somebody's like, hey, my score hasn't updated, and you go and look, and it's because they're on the last row of the spreadsheet, and there's like one formula that wasn't drug all the way down. You just drag it all the way down, and boom, magically, it's fixed. Hey, look at me, I'm a genius. And you just look at the player and say, I don't know, looks fine to me. Refresh your browser. Oh, it's fine now? Must have just been stuck for a minute. Google gets slow sometimes. Or you can be honest with your players. Either way, take your pick. You can sound like some sort of, mad smartass wizard, or you can tell them, oops, my bad. Up to you. I don't care. Anyway, I was really just filling time while I drag all those things down to show you guys how to do it. So now you're here. Let's go ahead and populate some club names. We'll use the team names here as the club names. Okay. Yeah, so one thing that you will definitely want to do here is on your roster, you will want to alphabetize the player names, right? You want to do them in alphabetical order, because you're going to sync them to the forms, which should work. If I did this correctly right now, you go up here to the TO Tools menu, you hit Sync Roster to Forms, and this is going to sync that roster list to the appropriate questions in our 2 forms. So let's see if that works. Yep, needs permission to run. It will ask me the first time. The first time you do it, this will do the same thing to you. These are scripts that are built into the spreadsheet, therefore Google hasn't verified them or reviewed them, but it's fine. You just click through these. You tell it it's okay. You know what you're doing. You've copied code from the internet. But, hey, I wrote it. If it takes over your Google account, sorry, that wasn't my intention. Anyway, now you hit sync. It says running script. It says it's finished. And now we pop over here and we go down. And here's the player list. It has been synced. It is no longer the list of players from Mountaineer. It is now the list of players for Crossroads. That is in our current thing. But they're in the order they are in the spreadsheet, which means when people go to flip through it, they're really going to have to hunt for their own name, and we don't like that because that takes too long and players will grumble about it. So instead, we're just going to sort sheet A to Z. We're going to undo that because we need to freeze this row first. So freeze the first row. Sort sheet A to Z. There we go. Now they are in alphabetical order. Now we go up to TO Tools, sync roster to forms. It runs again. This time it doesn't bug you for permission because you've already given it to it once. And now we go back, and magically, now they are in the correct order. They're in alphabetical order, and people can just scroll down and find their name easily. Same thing with the other one. Here's the other form. They're all updated here. And all the different drop downs with all the player names, they're all synced up correctly. So over the course of time, as people sign up or drop or whatever, you add them to the roster, you resort it, you resync it, you're good to go. Okay, so now we have all our players, we know their clubs. Let's assume that you've gone through and updated all of the scoring to how you will want it. It's a few days before the tournament, and it's time to do your first round pairings. So now let's talk about what that looks like. So you go to TO Tools, you hit Generate Pairings. It's going to ask if you should pair club mates. If you want club immunity for the first round, you say no, don't pair club mates. All right, and then the script runs, and then it finishes, and then we pop over to new pairings to see what we get. And here we go. And so here are your pairings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. These are in alphabetical order by player, not table order. So if you want to see them in table order, just to review, again, you can just go there and sort sheet. And that way it puts, the opponents right next to each other. So you can eyeball and make sure that you don't have any club mates playing, or that nobody is, somebody's previous opponent. This is the first round, so that won't be the case. But you can also easily scroll down to the bottom then and see if anybody didn't get paired. And everybody got paired. Everybody has an opponent. Everybody has a table number, so everything's fine. Then you will want to go over here. You'll want to sort it back in alphabetical order by player name. And you will want to grab, I believe, just the first three. Yep, player, opponent, table. Over here, player, opponent, table. Go to the bottom, highlight them all, copy them, go to round 1 pairings, drop them in. There they are. Let's go to our public HTML view. Round 1 pairings, refresh. It dumps back to total results, but hey, look there. There's the roster. Now we go to round 1 pairings, and there they are in alphabetical order with table assignments. Everybody's got zeros. So now if we pop back and we take a look at our roster, we will see that the first round opponents are filled in. And that's good because that's what the pairing script looks at. It looks at these opponents to make sure it looks at club, and it looks at opponents to make sure it doesn't pair up people who have already played. So if we were to generate pairings again right now without having any results, it would again randomly pair people, but it would avoid club mates, and it would avoid those round 1 opponents. And then you could paste that into round 2. And that would give you round 2 results. Let's do a quick, just so you guys can see, and I can see. Let's go over here to the results. Let's submit just a junk result here, just real quick. you'll want to test this just to see what happens. It's round 1. Let's say we're playing on table 1. Who is on table 1? Adam Ballard's playing Ed Fisk. Okay, cool. Where are we? Right here. So let's say that I'm former U.S. Master Adam Ballard, and my opponent is Ed Fisk. Was it a good game? Sure. Ed's a little loud sometimes, but he's fun to play. I don't know what we're playing, but let's say Adam got 5 and Ed got 2. Let's say Adam killed 1,950 points and Ed killed 1,200. And now we submit our form. Cool. So this is a thing that I need to update. So your response has been recorded. Should be followed by a URL to point to the result sheet, or point to this sheet over here. But let's take a look at what we've got. So let's go to our TO sheet. Let's go to form responses. And here we go. We have a response. Here it is. Round 1, Adam Ballard, Ed Fisk. Good game. 5 victory points. 2 victory points for the opponent. Points you routed. Points they routed. Cool. All right. So now let's go to our round 1 results. And we should have a calculated result. But we do not. And the reason we do not is because things have changed. New tabs have been added. And so this query basically just needs to run again once to get started. So we go over here and hit enter, and it'll start chewing on it. I hope. There we go. Once again, when things don't appear to have worked, the best thing to do is hit enter, refresh, make sure you have the formula pulled down all the way. It will generally work out. Okay, so here we go. We got table 1, Adam playing Ed. There's the results that they typed in. We're going to call that a win according to the way we have defined our scoring system. So this is Bartroud, so he gets 4 points for a win. He got 5 victory points, so we add 5 to it. It brings it up to 9. The number of points he killed brings him up to a 12, so his round score is 12. And his current total battle score, therefore, is 12, and his total current attrition is 12. So that's what the TO sees. Now let's pop over to what the players would see. Let's refresh our browser. Let's go to round 1 results. Currently not there. That probably means we need to go to our results spreadsheet, go to round 1 pairings. Excuse me, round 1 results. Yep, we got to just click through one thing to allow access. This is still looking at the old spreadsheet. Aha. Cool. So I found something else I needed to fix, or something else we need to update. Excellent. Round 1 results. Grab this. Point at the correct spreadsheet. Cool. All 3 of them query separately, so update all of them. This is another thing you need to do, go through all the results over here and make sure they're querying the right thing. Okay, so now we've got our correct results. We've got Adam and Ed. This is just Adam's result because Ed hasn't put his in yet. It says Adam won. He got 12, and his attrition is 1950. So there we go. Important safety tip. Make sure all of these are updated to pull from the correct URL as well across all the tabs. It's a whole lot of copying and pasting old stuff to new stuff. Now, let's see what happens when we refresh here. Takes us back to total results. We click over to round 1 results. Come on now. There we go. Now we got Adam with the 12. On the pairings tab, it says he's got a 12. And there's the result. Okay, so it took a few seconds to update, but it got there. So table 1, Adam Ballard, Ed Fisk. Ed wins, he gets a 12. Excuse me, Adam wins, he gets a 12. And he killed 15 attrition. So now let's pop back and let's put in Ed's results. Why not? Submit another response, just so you guys can see. Now that I've powered all the way through one and gotten everything updating like it's supposed to by copying and pasting a couple things and hitting enter. The opponent is Adam. Was it a good game? Yes. I said Ed got 2 victory points and Adam got 5. I said, just making sure I put in the same data. I said Ed killed 12 and Adam killed 1950. Around 1950. Submit. There we go. All right, now we pop back over here. Now you see we have a second row right there. There's Ed playing Adam. They're both at table 1 in round 1. Data matches. I need to add a script that when this tab gets updated, checks to make sure that they both put in the same number and highlights if they didn't, or if someone puts in a duplicate response. That's something I intend to do sometime in the near future. So there you go. So Ed has updated there. Let's pop over to our public HTML version and see if it's populated all the way through yet. Results. Ed is listed in round 1 results in the tab. So let's give the spreadsheet. Let's give the HTML another moment here. See if it's going to update. All right, let's see if I forgot something else. Okay, the results have them all listed. Round 1 results. Sometimes this takes a few minutes. Seems like we get a little bit of lag, and that can happen sometimes, which might make people a little impatient. But this is the public version of the spreadsheet, and Ed's numbers are in there. And Ed's numbers are correct in the round 1 results tab of it. So that means the HTML version will sync up eventually. It says at the bottom, it says updated automatically every 5 minutes, which means at most it could take up to 5 minutes for the results to show up. And that's probably what we're seeing here right now. Yeah, because it's not listed yet. So that's just a lag thing with the HTML published version, because the public version of the spreadsheet here has the correct numbers. So we'll come back to that in a minute. Back on the main TO sheet, round 1 results, we've got 2. It's got all the gory details. On the roster, they now have their points there and there. If we go all the way to the total results here, we can see that that's kind of the same as it was. Total results is sorted by battle score and then attrition. So that's why Ed is up at the top here. And in the roster, he's still in alphabetical order. So one thing we can do is go to the sports score tab, which is a tab that just needs to have enter hit probably. Yep, there they are. Again, you know, when you disconnect and like rename spreadsheets and things, you just got to go through and hit enter one time to get things to start calculating. So here you can see that they both gave each other a good game vote. That's why they both have a round sports total of 1. Kind of a quick and easy way to see if everyone has submitted a result once is to go down the list and see if everybody has the same number here as there are rounds. If you're only doing 1 point, or if you're giving people 2 points per round or 2.5 or whatever. If everyone has gotten a good game vote and everybody has submitted a score, everyone should have the same number there. So scrolling through that is an easy way to see, one, if anybody got a sports ding in a round, if anybody got like a no vote and you need to go investigate, you can see that there because somebody's number will be different. Or that means that their opponent hasn't put in their result yet, and that's why they're missing a number there. If somebody has a number higher than everyone else and higher than they should have for the number of rounds, that means somebody has 2 rows. Somebody submitted 2 results, and you need to figure out why and delete one of them. Maybe they did it twice by accident. If it's the same thing twice, that's fine. Or maybe they made a mistake the first time and submitted a second row and haven't gotten around to telling you yet, in which case you can ask them what's going on, check to see which one matches their opponent, delete the old one, whatever, and that'll bring the scores back down. Let's see if our public HTML has updated yet. Oh, yep, there it is. He's at the top. Okay, so that just took a couple minutes. Sometimes these things take a minute, but there it is. Now it's updated here as well. Adam wins. Ed loses. 12-4. And that's it. In total results, they are of course listed as the top 2 players because they're the only 2 people who have results. So that's pretty much everything working. Uh, so if you are interested in doing this, um, this is kind of what the process is like to take the take the set of files from that were used in one event, wipe them out, reset them, get everything flowing again. That's kind of the process you got to go through. It's kind of hacky because I didn't really make it with starting fresh in mind. At some point in the future, I might make like some blank copies that are at least all blanked out, to share with people. But then like you'll still have to go through and like reset your form uh, your form tabs to be pointed at the correct copies of the forms you make, and your public version to query off of the current copy of the main TO full results that you're looking at and stuff like that. But hopefully this seems not too onerous for anyone. Like I said, it's a lot of like copy and pasting URLs around and hitting enter in fields and dragging things down and waiting to make sure that your one test game like this goes all the way through. So I hope that seems interesting and useful. Uh, when you are happy with how you, and I'll also add that in order to put in test result games, you don't actually have to have pairings because the form that submits the results and the game results are totally decoupled from the pairings, right? Like you can put in result and say you played whoever. So if you don't want to mess with pairings and copying and pasting pairings, and you just want to put in some junk data real quick to make sure that things are testing and working and all the numbers are showing up everywhere, you can skip that and just go straight to putting in results and seeing the results. That's fine. When you're ready, when you're done testing and you want to get rid of all your test data, if you've done test pairings, you just go and delete the pairings from the pairings tab, just as you put them in. Now we'll wipe that out. You go to your form responses, you delete those. I said another place, but I'll say here again, the next result that comes in is going to go here in row 4, even though you've deleted the data out of 2 and 3. The form still thinks that's the next row to update. So that's where the next one will go. You'll have a couple of blank lines. It's not a big deal. You just scroll past your blank lines or ignore them or hide them or whatever if they bother you, and then the rest of them will come down at the bottom. So hopefully I've addressed like frequently asked questions or given you a sense of like what it takes to flip this thing, or a little bit of a better sense of what you got to do to connect the dots and all to flip this over and make use of it. Again, if this is something people are really interested in using, let me pop back over here, close my share window. If this is something people are really interested in using, and I get kind of the same kind of questions over and over again, then I don't mind coming and making like a little video walking people through like, here's how I do it, so that I don't have to like try to explain it over and over again. I can just show people. I think I went over everything I meant to. I showed you how to reconnect the forms to your new copies of the spreadsheet. I told you how to delete all of the old data. I told you that you have to rename the tabs that the forms point to be the same as the old ones, so all the scripts work. I told you had to delete all the old pairings, and I told you had to go through and like hit enter, give things access, make sure things are pointing to the right URL, hit enter once to get the data flowing, and like add one test game and trace the results through till they get all the way through to the public HTML page to make sure everything works and flows like it's supposed to. So I think that's what I wanted to. That's all I wanted to do in this video, is show you what to get rid of to start over on your own, and how to get it to the point where the results are flowing like you want it to, and from there, and also how to update the roster and sync it so that all your players are in there. So I think that's all I wanted to cover here. I hope this was useful. Again, if you got any questions, let me know, and I'll hopefully be able to answer them or whatever. I'm not trying to make this a fully supportable thing, but I'm also not trying to make it so difficult for people to use that folks just look at it and scratch their heads and give up either. So I'm trying to find a nice like middle path of, if I can show people once, and that takes care of like 90 to 95% of what support would look like, then that's cool, and I'm happy to do that to help people out. So hopefully this was useful. Um, and again, good luck with your events and making use of this or using this as a basis to do your own thing or whatever. Let's all just keep having fun and running awesome events. I'll talk to you guys later.